Welcome to America's Heroes Group.
America's Heroes Group Roundtable, Rural America Veterans and Communities Matters. Today is July 31st, 2021, and our host is the Honorable and Governor of Talk Radio, Cliff Kelly. I'm his co-host, Colonel Dr. Damon Arnold. Our executive producer is Glenda Smith, and our digital media producer is Ivan Ortega, Scouts Honor Productions. And today we have a panelist who is a very esteemed representative. Ras Smith is a state representative of Iowa House District 62 and an Iowa candidate for governor. Representative Ras Smith represents Iowa House District 62, which includes Waterloo, Elk Run Heights, Evansdale, and Raymond. Smith, a Waterloo native, is the son of Elsie and the Reverend Belinda Crichton Smith. Out of session, Smith is not busy enough, I guess, so he is now an Iowa consultant for the not-profit organization Communities in Schools. In his role, Smith works to raise awareness about dropout prevention services with the Cedar Valley area and across the state. Smith is active in his local community, volunteering his talents to better the area. He has been a youth mentor, participated in faith-based outreach, and served as a volunteer football coach for East High School. Smith graduated from the University of Northern Iowa with a bachelor's degree in exercise science and as a master's degree in youth and human services. Smith lives in Waterloo with his wife, Amelia, and their two daughters, Maria and Samara. They attend Faith Temple Baptist Church. He is currently a candidate for governor of Iowa. You know, it is, when I was reading through this, Ras, I'm looking at this going like, when do you sleep? So representative job's not enough, huh?
No, we got to stay busy. It's a blessing to be busy. So we got to stay serving the community. I appreciate being on. I'm so excited to be here chatting with you all about ways that we can improve our not only the state but our country for veterans and those who've dedicated themselves to service.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you. Representative Smith. Iowa's tagline is "Fields of Opportunities," but like a lot of Midwestern states, the last few years have been tough for people, to find employment, that you can make a living at, because there are a lot of low-wage jobs that are out there. But is this the same true for Iowa, particularly when it comes to veterans finding work? Do you see that there is a challenge there as far as employment?
Oh, 100%. I think, first and foremost, when we look at specifically our veterans, I want to say roughly about 30% of employed veterans with a service-connected disability work in the public sector. And in Iowa, what we've seen is we've done a couple of things, but one, we've made it difficult for public sector employees to collectively bargain, but we've also privatized our healthcare system. And so when we have veterans who are connected with, right, or have a service-related disability, when we privatize our healthcare system here, it's really put into place a lot of roadblocks that allow these individuals to get the vital services that are necessary to get to work. Sometimes it's just some support to get out of the bed in the morning, and once you get into whatever your assisted technology may be, folks are really empowered to do it themselves, and that's what we need to be, incentivizing and nurturing. But with our privatized healthcare system, it's really been difficult for folks to contribute the way that they want to. And so I think there's a lot we can do to really improve these things, but it starts with wages, and it starts with just the basics of taking care of folks. Oh,
fantastic. Wow. And that really answers the question. And, and one of the things, with the pandemic now, Iowa is one of the states that has rejected federal aid to bolster unemployment benefits. So how is that hurting veterans in your state, if you think that it is?
Well, I think it's hurting veterans the same way that we see it hurting a lot of other folks across the state. It's taking gas out of the gas tank. It's taking food off the table, but it's also made it more difficult to pay our bills. And as of tomorrow, we know that the eviction moratorium is lifted, and so veterans are typically more susceptible to homelessness. And this is going to be one of those times where we're seeing unseasonably warm weather. Our cooling shelters across the state of Iowa are disproportionately filled with veterans, just like in any other country or any other state. And so we have to make sure that we're addressing these issues. And so when we roll back that federal aid that was meant to just help people get by, just get to that next paycheck, we've really done a disservice, and we're not standing up for people in the way that we can. And so that's disappointing, especially when it has a disproportionate impact on those folks who, have taken some of the most difficult oaths to go and serve their country, whether it be a combat veteran or those people who went through the basic training and now are bringing those skills back to their communities. We've got to support those folks the way they supported us.
Yeah, that's, absolutely, Representative Smith, because one of the things that, as you were talking, you were painting such an incredible picture, and it made me start really thinking is that, with the lifting of the moratorium on people being evicted and those sorts of things, it can actually set the clock back, especially if you haven't accepted this federal funding to help veterans, and that people have been working very hard to get many of our homeless veterans off the street. We have, homeless veterans group that comes on, pretty regularly, and an agency that's trying to help people being placed and get jobs. And with the veterans, this could roll back all the efforts of the VA. This could roll back the efforts of, community-based organizations and veterans groups, the VFW, and the American Legion. All of them have some work involvement in trying to help veterans who are in that situation. So this could add to the growing population of homeless veterans potentially, and set back all the work we've been doing. So, yeah, I'm glad you're bringing a light to this issue.
Well, I think, and we have to be mindful about states like Iowa and Illinois and the Midwestern states as a whole, where we have some of these rural pockets. I'm in Fairbank, Iowa right now, so this is a small town, a more rural town, roughly about 25 miles northeast of Waterloo. And I'm here celebrating my wife's father and my wife's grandfathers, but to me, they're my grandparents as well. Their 70th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
He's a
70th
Korean War veteran. 70th wedding anniversary. Unbelievable, right? I'm thinking that's a blessing in itself. He's a Korean War veteran, served in world wars, and was able to come back to Fairbank, a small rural town, become a teacher here for 30-plus years, be the mayor for 30-plus years, and still live here. But that opportunity for veterans doesn't exist anymore. In Iowa, they don't get to come back to their small rural towns and start their own business or really get into the classroom because we're closing rural schools. The job opportunities aren't here. They can't even, in a lot of our rural communities, start a family because we don't offer labor and delivery services anymore. I know when my mom, came back and my mom is a former military police officer, she was able to go into the work being a substance abuse counselor, seeing the impact that her peers who were combat veterans, unlike her, were going through and wanting to do something about that. And so we have to make sure that we are focusing ourselves on taking care of people, prioritizing people and those basic needs. And when we do that, people will be great. People will be empowered to be great. But it starts with taking care of folks first.
Wow. Do you want to say the name of your grandfather and his wife? That's 70 years.
Yes.
People don't even live 70 years, never mind being married for 70 years.
Morris and Wilma Wells, great people. It's unbelievable the work that I've seen them do. And for me to have that example as an elected official of someone who's dedicated themselves, their lives to this nation and their community, I'm always in awe. And I can tell you he's probably right now, as they're packing up chairs and tables, he's probably got 3 or 4 chairs in each hand out showing some of the young guys. That's just who he is.
Yeah, I've heard about those stories about people climbing trees when they're 90 and all that. I couldn't climb a tree when I was 40, so. But yeah, awesome. So that's fantastic. What about this thing? We also have another issue because everyone is so locked away right now. I always say I hate to use the term social distancing, during the pandemic. It's really physical distancing, 6 to 8 feet. But social distancing implies, abandonment, social abandonment, isolation, disconnection. But the mental health care is really, of course, really critical to ensuring veterans have the tools they need to stay, healthy overall. So including being healthy enough to find regular employment. So how does, Iowa's access to health care help or harm veterans?
Well, we haven't done a good enough job of making it accessible. We have so many people in our state who have to send their loved ones out of the state of Iowa to receive the care that they so need. And to me, it's unacceptable because when we understand trauma, I've spent some time working in our public school district and providing, trauma-informed care to students and understanding that when we want to build a strong foundation of mental and brain health in our state, it starts with early intervention, not waiting to react. And so we can build in resilience to our young people starting at an early age by addressing the impacts of homelessness, of poverty, of trauma in the home, to build resilience so that when they do, if they decide to serve in our armed forces, when they go maybe overseas or go through basic training and by default maybe deal with some traumatic experiences, they're more adept to deal with that. But then we also have to make sure we have those services in place that no matter where you live in the state of Iowa, no matter where you live in the Midwest, you can get the care you need. You can go to a physician and get a physical. We need to make brain health and mental health just as available, but also get rid of the stigma. And during COVID, we've really seen a light shone brighter on this issue because folks have, as you said, gone through physical, but also maybe some parts of that social distancing that has had an impact on them. And our social support groups weren't meeting as regularly. Those folks who may be going to veterans groups and talking about those shared experiences were forced to do so via internet. And if you live in rural Iowa, you may not have access to Wi-Fi to even do that. And so we're finding so many of our veterans right now getting their treatment for brain health and mental health in our criminal justice system, and that's wrong. And so they find themselves there, and the very rights that they fought for, they're losing the right to vote if you become a felon in the state of Iowa. They're losing their ability to hold certain jobs. And so I tried my best to remove some of those barriers. I traveled across the state last year, bringing awareness to an executive order that we were able to put some pressure on the governor to sign regarding restoring the right of felons to vote, the need for better health care, the need to provide better work opportunities for veterans who come out of the armed services with so many skills. But if you don't have a job sector in your community that allows you to apply those skills, you're left searching. And we can do better if we take care of our veterans, if we take care of our young people, we take care of everybody.
Fantastic. What other services do you think or resources do you think are needed, to help the veterans?
Well, I think we need mental health courts. We need veterans courts. We need to make sure that our healthcare system in the state of Iowa is one that's no longer geared towards making money off people with long-term disabilities. That's not right. That's not a value that we should uphold, and it's not an effective model when providing care to folks. When we have veterans who come back with chronic issues, you can't make money off of that, and it shouldn't be the goal to make money. The goal should be to empower people to live the highest quality life as possible, and for government to be a partner in success, not a barrier to success. I also think that we need to make sure that no matter what corner of the state you live in, you have access to mental health, whether that be through telehealth, and we got to do some things about our broadband infrastructure, or to mental health professionals, brain health professionals that live in your community, that are tethered to your community to make sure that you have the holistic support that's needed for the outcomes that we know people so truly deserve. And then lastly, create communities where folks feel welcome. Our veterans have the privilege of having some of the most diverse and vast experiences that some of us never get to see. And when they want to come back to a community that reflects maybe their experiences in the Army, where they had friends and comrades who they were in, these situations with, that may speak a different language, have a different background, they want to live around those communities still. And we're not providing opportunities for communities that feel welcoming because of some of the political rhetoric. And we've got to be above that. We've got to be better than that. People before politics, always. And I think those are a few ways that we get there. I'm excited to be helping and moving the ball forward any way that I can.
Oh, fantastic! I'm really you have my energy level way up. I just feel you're doing such great work. And with your consultant work for the nonprofit organization, communities and schools, many of these children that you're helping, many of the communities that you're helping with the, dropout prevention services, some of these kids may be the children of veterans, that are out there. And I just think that this is such a very positive, strong movement to build a community. And your background, so how's your background playing into this? Because I know you have a degree in exercise science and a master's in youth and human services, which I think are, prerequisites, I think, in order to take care of people. And the people I trust in political power would have to have an understanding of those kinds of disciplines. Yes.
Well, I think for me, I come from a perspective of direct service. When you're providing direct service to folks, one, it doesn't always pay well, but that's not what it's about. It's about the people. And then as you know, as I've been able to work and kind of gain some more senior level leadership with my organization, you go from understanding how you're directly connected to people to how your programming works on a holistic level and where the gaps are. And what I found over and over again was that we were just reacting to issues. We were never in a position to be preventative. We're never on offense. And so when you're always trying to react, one, it costs dollars. It's more expensive to react to a problem than to prevent it from happening in the first place. I think, secondly, my work has been able to be a little more broad. My in-laws have a small farm out in Grundy County, just west of Waterloo. And, for the past decade or so, I've been able to be a partner in that. And so I've seen how folks live in rural Iowa. And I've seen my mother-in-law work at the local convenience store for almost 20 years and never make more than $17 an hour, and know that you can't really build a lifestyle or a family off of that. And so taking that to the next level, running for governor it's about finding solutions to our common struggles, tearing down these walls of partisanship and really focusing on allowing people to come as they are. I don't care, if you can vote. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care how you identify or what your first language is, but I do care that you come ready to work, ready to lace up those boots and get to work at building a place that all people can feel valued and contribute. That's got to be our mission going forward. Our allegiance first to each other as human beings. All the other stuff will take care of itself.
That's fantastic viewpoint. I love that. And it sounds like so ultimately Iowa is a place that can be a good home for veterans. That's what it sounds like you're saying.
I truly believe it. We historically we've been so much better than we are. I mean, we're a state that we have Fort Des Moines where we train black soldiers before the World War. We have places like our at School of Education where we prioritize women in education. We desegregated schools in Iowa before the federal government. All those are significant milestones, and when we were able to lead our nation, and so we can do that again. I truly believe it, and our goal is beyond a campaign. But a mission of my work is to create communities that are radically inclusive, allowing people to come however they are and contribute. And so if folks want to find out more about our work, they can always feel free to go to rossforiowa.com. We're at Ross for Iowa on all social media. That's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And my family story from Morris and Wilma Welsh to my mom, who was a military police officer, that is the story of Iowa. And it's a beautiful story. And I'm so excited to collectively write the best chapters in that with folks in our state.
Okay, do you want to give that website again?
Yeah, we're at Ross, and that's RAS for Iowa.com.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh, but one of the things that we've been talking about that is really interesting is that you seem to be really intimately involved in the community, and I have to say that's a fantastic, positive thing. So I just wanted to say your grandfather, Morris and Wilma Wells, happy 70th wedding anniversary. He was a combat veteran in Korean War. And then also for your mom, who was in the former military police officers as well. So yeah. you are deep into this military family thing, so you're part of our family.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's always been something that my family's held in high regard, and the opportunity that is provided, understanding that the sacrifices that have been made by so many for me to be, the son of someone. My dad was born on a sharecropping plantation in 1950, and for my mom to be someone who's a military police officer, both right, proud black folks, moving up the ladder of not just success, but through community engagement, through hard work, through showing that we can be better than this and we can do the hard work to pull ourselves and our community up. That's a beautiful thing. And then to see my grandparents celebrating 70 years, that's collectively who we are.
Yeah.
Those are the things that tether us together and that make us great, and that's what we should be focusing on. And so I'm just proud to be a part of it. I'm proud to be, this is my role in the collective, and so we all have a lane. I'm trying to do the best I can in mine, and that's the way that my mom brought us up, and she holds pretty true to that. Military police officer forever, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I used to be a director for Illinois Department of Public Health, but one of the legislators asked me one time, so why did you join this? I said 3 words, and he said, what are those? I said, they're above your chamber, we the people. It sounds like you're one of these people that's for we the people, and I really appreciate that. But we're running out of time. Representative Smith, and all the best of luck to you. We have our executive producer, Glenda Smith, who's here, who's going to give us some closing comments. But we will love to have you back at some time as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you so much.
And thank you so much for being a part of this show.